Activation code required. Access granted. Warning. Evacuation sequence activated.
We're back. Welcome to the bunker.
And welcome to the S-4 Bunker to you tonight, coming to you live May 31st in the Cascade Mountains here in Concrete, Washington, where we have all kinds of ghosts and stuff, and aliens and UFOs and Bigfoot and apparently Dogman in Darrington. I don't know, that could be other things. Anyway, so it's been an kind of cold week. I'm cold right now, and it's like 54 degrees. It's supposed to be hot again, I think, tomorrow and through the rest of the week.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
I'm too hot. I'm too cold.
I am cold right now.
Jesus.
But
Sounds like you,
I'm always
doesn't it?
cold.
It does. Oh, it does. I was actually laughing because, like, the other day I was like, God damn, it's cold out. And Cole's like, it's like 75 degrees. Shut up.
No, yesterday it was
It was nippy.
relatively warm out. I mean, the only time it got cold is the breeze kind of brought a chill, but it was warm out today.
Oh my God, you guys.
What?
Whatever, okay?
Well, I'm sorry we all didn't grow up in the Great White North like you did, Cole. So
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but then everyone
Yeah.
bitches. Yeah, but everyone bitches then that it's too hot 5 minutes later.
welcome to my nightmare. I've been dealing with this for the past 5 years. It's the woman in the other room. So, yeah. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too cold. Now I've got the air conditioner put in, and I don't need it anymore because I got to keep the windows closed and the fans off. So,
Yeah, until next week. Or tomorrow.
You know, this guy over here, I remember living in Edmonton when it was like minus 30 degrees, and I'm always complaining because I'm always cold.
You got cold at minus 30?
I woke up in the middle of the
I put pants
freaking
on,
night
Okay.
to my blankets all being thrown off the bed and the window being wide open. I had icicles everywhere. I was like, oh my God!
You want to
It was
explain where
terrible.
those icicles were?
Huh?
You want to explain where those icicles were?
Oh, no.
I don't think we should be talking about this.
No, Jack.
Oh no, honey, it just freezes your nose hair. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Maybe a little bit of the shame cave, too.
I don't.
You know what a shame cave is, John?
Shut up, Cole!
I don't.
Oh,
I don't
God.
want to hear about this.
It's your butthole.
It reminds me of Airplane. Yeah. Have you ever seen two dogs having sex? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody has at one point.
Well, the little boy was like
Just-
7. Come on now.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so ghosts, guys, ghosts,
They
spirits,
have a shame
haunting.
cave, too.
Good call, Kayla.
Oh, wait. I didn't find out about it until today that NASA was actually doing their first public UFO UAP meeting.
Yeah, I saw part of it.
Did you actually? Oh, did you watch it?
Yeah.
So
part of it.
I downloaded it. It's 4 hours long. I would like to watch it.
They took a half-hour lunch, so 3.5.
Okay.
Oh, and
Was it better than the congressional UAP hearing?
Yes and no. In the fact that they talk about, oh God, here we go. They talk about a number of factors as to how NASA and the U.S. government are going to be working together They made a reclassification of UAP.
Okay.
So unidentified aerial phenomena. They went anomaly.
That's another. Yeah, that's another acronym. Unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Thank you. And so
it's
they
stupid.
actually...
They're just bringing up more shit to confuse the UFO world. That's all they're doing.
What they did state that they were going to make a clarification, a better description of it, of what anonymous meant. I went, oh my god.
Okay, so you know what? This sounds like if Animal named something and was like, anom. Like it's just
pretty freaking much.
You're gonna make me choke on my smoke.
There were a couple of things that really pissed me off, but and I get where they're going with it. I get what they're doing, but it was like blah frickin' blah frickin' blah blah blah.
Well, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it this week and take some notes. And compare it to the congressional.
Because there were a couple of things, couple of small highlights that I would classify as small. Other people are like, oh my god, that's kind of a big deal. Well, there was only one minor big deal. I mean, not major big deal, but it's on the minor side of things. Unfortunately, I can't remember what the frick it is at this second because, of course, I'm on the spot, and that's how my brain has been working lately. But it's in the second. Let's see. It's just before they go to lunch, so it's like the half hour, 20 minutes before they go to lunch, and that's where that item is talked about. And then I saw a half hour after they came back from lunch, and that was the last place I had to pause it because I was dealing with a lot today. So, it's worth watching.
I'm going to watch it.
But it's a pain in the butt.
I'm going to watch it and take notes, and then I'm going to compare it, watch the congressional hearings again and take notes on that and compare them.
The congressional hearings were shit.
They were. I would have liked to. I would have liked to have put a drone in their secret meetings and heard more from that.
This was more explained to the hardcore, real lay person. Mm-hmm. I mean, it reminded me of how you would talk to a sixth grader. A fifth or sixth grader, and it just bugged the shit out of me. I'm like, okay, guys, we are not in fifth and sixth grade. We know what the hell is going on. And basically, they're explaining. They had, what, 15? Hang on a second, 9? 16. They had 16 people on the panel that they classified as their team. And quite a few of them talked. There were a couple of rather interesting ones, but in the grand scheme of things, with what I saw, it's blah, blah, frickin' blah.
But, I think the part that fascinates me the most is the very fact that the U.S. government is actually even talking about this subject. But anyway, we're moving on. We are going to talk about hauntings.
Oh, wait. There's a fun fact. Fun fact that, like last year or so, Elon Musk was trying to do the whole brain chip thing.
Right.
He finally got FDA approval to start human trial on it, like last week.
Yep.
And he's already, I think it was around like 10 people. He's already got to.
You call that a fun fact? I call that a fucking horrifying fact.
To put it in their heads and test it.
Why?
Cyber people.
It's a choice to get it.
Yeah.
He doesn't own a government company. He owns a private entity.
And then you could use ChatGPT without your teachers ever knowing.
Oh,
now they'll still know.
Yeah. Okay, if they want to go do it.
Yeah.
I want to jump.
You're not doing it, John.
A building and lift a car. I want to be the $6 million man. I don't want to be able to pay for stuff just by walking through with my head.
Yeah.
Well, I get the bionic arm leg.
Can you imagine?
Your wrist, your hand.
Okay.
fingers.
You just
Arm,
blink, and
yeah.
all of a sudden you accidentally bought yourself a yacht.
Hey,
Yeah, no shit.
I've freaking seen.
I didn't mean to scan that chip.
It'll be a long
I've
time.
seen the freaking
Yeah, but
future in
it might
psychic
be
visions, and
It
it
will
is
be in
real
the
similar to that.
It'll be a long
Like,
time
this is-
before.
Bad shit
it becomes
coming.
normal.
It'll be a long
Oh,
time
yeah.
before strength enhancing devices are available to the public.
Oh, I know.
To the
That's the
public,
X-Men.
yes.
I'll be dead.
It's already
shit.
available to the
Oh,
military.
I'll probably be dead. We'll all be
Oh,
dead,
yeah.
except for maybe you,
Yeah,
John.
the asteroid
I'll
hits.
be
You'll be
alive.
like 80.
Wait, the asteroid hits
Yeah.
us in 2030, so
I'll live
Oh,
longer.
right?
Huh?
If the asteroid does hit, then I guess we will all be dead.
I've heard
Yeah.
some theories that the end of the world is coming in 2030 . So I think whatever. It's 7
Life
years
after
away.
people, man. Life after people.
The more people are finally
Yeah.
going to come out of the caves.
30.
Yeah, it's 7 years from now.
3 with the 0. Only 7 more years.
That's why I'm maxing out all my credit cards.
That's a horrible idea.
And then are you going to fly away
That
on
is a
Healy
horrible
Bop?
idea.
No,
It's going to
I'm
be like
not.
2012 all over again.
Yeah, no shit.
Or,
Oh, the world's ending. I'm going to sell my house. Some people actually did.
Yeah, and
hey,
now
you were
they're-
here for
Oh,
2012. Let me
And
tell
now
you,
they're
before
homeless.
that, there was 2000.
Yeah,
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thought that...
There was 20.
Yeah.
20
Everybody
BC.
thought that everything was going to
Oh, yeah.
die, and we were all
yeah,
going to be
Y2K.
Yeah.
horribly burnt by
Well,
all the
so-
I hated
reactors.
Y2K.
Oh, no, Y2K. So I had an 88 Cougar. And I was driving back from Seattle to Atlanta. And it was like, 10 minutes till midnight for, Y2K. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fucking play it safe. And I'm going to be drinking coffee and eating fries in this truck stop. Just in case this little microchip in my car, doesn't work.
Decides to fuck off.
Get the hell off
Yeah.
the road. And I did. And, midnight happened and midnight went. The lights were still on. The car started up. We're good to go. So, yeah, that was my Y2K experience.
My
2012.
Y2K experience.
Mhm.
Okay. We were all sitting over at my aunt's house. And my Aunt Linda was standing there waiting for the ball to drop. And then she disappeared because she said she had to use the bathroom. And then she went and threw all the breakers for the house.
That's awesome.
Came running up and went, "Oh my God, it happened!" Yeah. It was great. It was great.
Oh.
We all had a little panic attack for about a second or so until we
she
looked
couldn't hold it
outside and
anymore.
everybody else on the street still had power.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was working in television, and we ran simulations periodically, and we even had a thing made up, because I'm the one that would have to push the button, presuming the equipment would go on the air, that would say, and if we're off the air, contact your, emergency, whatever department in whatever town you were in. I'm like, nobody's going to see any of this. Why are we doing this?
Well, they're not gonna
Did you
see
have
it.
to go through a 2-step verification code with keys that turned at the same time?
Well, not
I
to
was so
mention.
not worried about it. I was so worried about keeping the full house airings on every day. So I wasn't. Yeah, I was like, the tapes are, because I was using like the reel-to-reel tape. They didn't even have the video cassettes, like the big beta tapes.
Oh,
They
yeah,
had them- They had a real reel-to-reel. That was they just break mid-show.
I remember reel to reel. Oh, that was a pain in the butt.
You'd have to tape it back. It's a TV show tape too, so it's a big old thick sucker, and you'd have to tape it back real quick and adding stuff. So, yeah, I was too
So, yeah,
concerned about
Y2K happened. One, your phone's ain't going to work to call 911.
Yeah,
Landline.
I wasn't working with the smartest people in the world, so.
Well, it goes along here too.
Well, I mean, they hired you.
Does anybody even know if our dam sirens are self-powered, or if the
They are
dam
solar powered.
if the dam breaks,
They are
are
solar
the
powered.
alarms going to go off?
Yes, they are solar powered.
Hey, Eric, aren't you our emergency coordinator person? Shouldn't you know this?
No, I don't get paid for that shit.
I thought they might have told you. But
Nope, I'm sorry. If all of a sudden lights go out and I feel a rumble, I'm heading for the mountain.
Well, we've all come to the conclusion that if the dam does go,
We're all dead.
we're pretty much fucked anyways. So
Yeah.
no amount of warning, unless it's like at least 2 hours, is gonna save any of us.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
and that
that's
thing's
true.
set up for like a 10-minute warning system. We aren't even getting out of the Cape before that blows.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
because there would be so much.
Anyway, I've been thinking about this topic. I got to say, I think my
Of
first
course.
paranormal event, I was probably about 15, and I grew up with cows.
First.
Huh?
I said, oh God, first.
Sorry,
go on.
Yeah, well, I didn't pay attention to paranormal growing up. I was actually raised that anything out of the ordinary was demonic. That's the way I was raised. If
Yeah,
I
that
would
makes sense.
if I would have said, "Hey, Mama, there's something weird flying in the sky," they didn't believe in UFOs. They didn't believe in the ghosts. They didn't believe in spirits. They didn't believe in anything. Anything that was paranormal or out of the ordinary, it would have been demonic to them. It still is. They think I'm nuts for believing in UFOs and Bigfoot and anything else. Dad's really curious. Mom, no. But nobody was home. We had a 40-acre beef farm. I had 10 Herefords. The neighbors call and say, your cows are in our back pasture, which isn't a big deal, but the gate to the highway is open. So if they happen to get on Highway 9, they're going to cause wrecks.
Yeah, big time.
I had just gotten out of physical therapy. I've got my leg in a full-length brace from knee dislocation, so I can walk, but it's hard. And I have to walk probably about a good quarter mile to a mile to get to the backside of our pasture. We have 10 cows. So, to kind of lay this out real quick, Bossy was my alpha cow. She never got out. She never left the pasture. Ever. And then there's Candy, there's Big Mama, there's Flossie, maybe. Because we had all beef at this point in time. No dairy. I didn't do dairy until 3 or 4 years later. No. Where was Daisy? Anyway, so I kind of hobble out there, and there's Bossy. She's kind of calling me over to where they got out. And there's a big hole in the fence, barbed wire. I climb into this other pasture and start calling them. And they all look at me. They look right at the hole, or right at the where the gate was open to the highway. Like, hey, we know where the hole is, and they all start running towards this hole, or towards this open gate, and there is nothing between them and the gate. So I mean, the grass is all down. I can see everything in front of them, and they all slid to a stop. Now, if you know cows, they don't do that shit. And they all ran back to the hole in the fence that they had made, back into our pasture, and they did not stop running until they got back to the barn. Again, that's quarter mile to a mile away. Now, what did they see? Did they see, I've had many theories thrown at me. It could have been aliens they saw, because, there's a long story to that. I don't think it was alien. Was it a guardian angel? I don't know. I don't fully believe in guardian angels, guardian spirits. Yes, I do. Was it a ghost? I have no idea. But Bossy called them back, and Bossy actually stayed, waited for me to climb back through the fence and walk me back to the house. That's what Bossy did. But it kind of creeped me out. At the time, because like, what the fuck? There's not a skunk, there's not a raccoon, there's no bears or cougars anywhere near. That was weird.
Well, it leads me to question, did they see something that was not hologram, cloaked?
Well, no, that's my point. Whether it was alien, whether it was
No, I don't think ET. I don't think they'd respond. My thinking would be like a oh, for F's sake, Nikki. I'm having a brain fart tonight. I did a lot of energy work today, so I apologize, guys. It's not a wolf man, dog man. Cloaked, yeah, roof. Cloaked
well,
dog man.
you know, even Bigfoot. So this is in Big Lake, and so it could have even been a Bigfoot, for all I know.
Yeah, that's possible.
Bigfoot cloaks. Either way,
Bigfoot
you know,
will take a cow.
I was 14, 15, and I've been told I've had alien guardians that watched over my life. I've been told so much shit. I have no idea what's true, what could be true, or you know what's not true. I only know what I saw and what happened.
Yeah.
And again, this is back in the 80s. So that was my first actual personal encounter, other than, you know, my cousin had a shadow on the ceiling when we were 7 and 8 years old. But we didn't think anything of it. We just, whatever. Hey, there's Joe. Hi. You know, whatever. Rick, have you had any kind of paranormal experiences?
Well, no, not for lack of trying. Well, for some of my own and some of my own doing, but I did 3 different occasions. I tried to go to haunted places. Second wife, my son's mother, and I, for our anniversary, I'd seen in the local paper there in Houston about this haunted motel that was in the middle of Texas, and I was like, oh yeah, let's go do that. And she wasn't all on board on it, but I was all for it, and got there and figured place it's on a Thursday, it's not a holiday weekend or anything else, it's not the start of summer, and it was booked up. Couldn't get a room. Mariachi band was in town. Couldn't get a room.
Yeah.
All the stupid things in life.
Your hotel fill up over a fucking mariachi band?
Yeah, I could not experience a gun. I walked into place. It was
not a gun show?
It was just the most amazing thing. I'm like, wait.
Come on, it's Texas. I figure your hotels will fill up for a gun show. But a mariachi band?
Mariachi band. Oh. Well, it was outside of San Antonio, so it was pretty surprised. Mariachi bands, and they take up a whole. There was 26 rooms in the hotel.
Oh, never mind.
They took every one of them.
I thought everything was big in Texas. Come on now.
Oh, this is an old tiny little, like a 3-story joint. So, now on our way up here,
Hotel 8.
On our way up, yeah. On our way up here, we stayed at the, and I didn't realize what it was. We'd left Vegas. We went by Area 51. We're trying to get to California, and we passed the Goldfield Hotel, which is everybody uses all the ghost hunter shows. They all go there, in Nevada. And then we wound up staying at the Clown Motel, which has become a big thing, and it's supposed to be haunted. It's got a cemetery right next door, and half the town died in a mine fire, and the other half died of the plague or something back in the turn of the century.
Clown? Wait. So Clown Motel have red balloons that float down the hallways and shit?
No, it's just a regular old. Just you go in. I thought it was going to be something bigger. I thought it was going to be scary. And
what room did you get? What number room did you get?
Oh, I think it was like 218. I don't know why they had that many numbers, but yeah, there was literally a cemetery, an old pioneer cemetery right next door. And again, ghost hunter shows have gone there. And since it's so close to Goldfield and the other hotel, nothing. I didn't experience a single thing. So no. I have avoided a couple of wrecks that where I just driving where I felt like, you know what? What's Fatal Destination or Final Destination.
Final
Yeah,
destination.
Yeah, where I've missed a couple of accidents just because I felt it like maybe I should go a different route today. And the last one was right before we moved up here, and guy killed the cop in downtown Everett at the Starbucks and was running from the cops. And I turned 2 blocks up from where I'd normally turn to go downtown, and
I'm not kidding. Run from the cops.
yeah, and so he went the other direction. So he was 2 blocks up from me. And then he went through the intersection and T-boned somebody. And that didn't kill them, but he knows that it killed me. So I don't know. So yeah, I've got a friend that passed away, and I think he's kept an eye over me and has probably kept me safe for the last about 5 or 6 years for sure. So we're a guardian angel. Somebody's got my best interest at heart. So yeah.
See, I'm not going to run from a cop. I'm going to run from a clown, though. That's for goddamn sure. Especially if he's got a big knife in his hand. Fuck that.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was that clown motel was something else. And they renovated. It's got new ownership, so now it's even
real
played
quick.
into the.
Hi, Izzy.
Of it.
Izzy's in the chat.
YOLO.
Hey, Izzy.
Iserific.
John, have you ever seen a ghost
No.
or paranormal?
I've seen
I'll go
nothing
paranormal. That's fine.
paranormal, actually. Like, nothing at all.
0?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Whoa, time out. He... Not that he hasn't seen anything that could be construed as paranormal. He's beyond skeptical about it. So, he always makes it into something mundane anytime he has an inkling that it could potentially be paranormal.
Okay, so are you going to be of the mindset that paranormal exists, or you have to see it and it has to be proven scientifically? That's where Anthony's at. Anthony thinks Daddy's crazy for even believing in Bigfoot.
I think, like, some parts of it's real, like aliens, of course.
Did you look at me when you said that?
Well, your mom's an alien, so
yeah,
of course.
you're part Mexican.
Yes,
Come on now. Oh.
Yeah, but I don't really believe in, like, ghosts or other dimensions.
Okay, we got
all
to.
that.
He hasn't been in Northern State yet, has he? Cole? Has he been in Northern State yet?
Yeah, twice.
Okay. We're going to have to take a family trip to Northern State.
Yeah, it's just...
You don't believe in ghosts?
I've seen nothing about it, and everything I see about it, it looks fake.
So when you've actually seen an alien...
I've never seen an alien.
But
just
you believe in them?
using basic math, and with all the possibilities, it's just...
So where do we go afterwards?
Nothing. It's a black void.
Not a chance. Part of us leaves. That's been proven.
No.
Talk about the weight.
Yep.
Yeah. Like
Our weight changes when we die.
An
Oh,
ounce.
it doesn't
I
have
think,
any
I
air
think
in
it's
our
like an
system
ounce
anymore.
at least that your
No.
body weight changes by an ounce.
Ah.
So basically, your spirit weighs like an ounce physically.
What the?
Something like
Sure.
that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I just seen nothing.
There are too many
Nothing that-
strange things that have happened to other people just because I haven't experienced it. There are plenty of strange things and happenings. Yeah, a lot of it can be made up, especially for those ghost hunter shows. But
Yeah.
you
That's why
don't have ghost stories because of ghosts. People they happen for a reson.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
And honestly, say, and this is a bullshit number, but I'd say 6 out of 10 people at least, if not higher, have at least had one experience of something that they cannot explain.
So you're telling me in your entire existence you haven't had one experience that you're like, what the hell just happened?
No, not really. I kind of just...
Lame.
He's a teenager. He doesn't pay attention.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
No.
And if I see something like that, it's my mind making tricks.
A
Like
ghost could
some weird
twerk in front
shadow.
of him and he wouldn't give a shit.
He'd be like,
This
you're
is true.
blocking the TV. God.
This is true. What about you, Cole?
Yeah, have you seen any ghostly
I've got
figures.
too many
I haven't seen, but I've
to.
heard them.
I've got too many, so I'm going around the room. Actually, I want to break this down to unusual, funny, and then just the scariest fucking moment you had.
Now I have to come up with 3. How come everyone else only had to do 1? What the fuck, Eric?
Well, okay, so
Damn it!
Oh, I
no.
can give you a lot.
We gotta redo it now.
that's why you're last, Nikki.
I know. I've been waiting for it. I know.
I'll tell you, my funniest was the apartment we had in Atlanta, where pennies would appear out of nowhere and drop on the floor in front of you. And the other time where nobody was anywhere near the coffee pot and a ghost made coffee for me. Understanding you have to put water in the coffee pot, you have to put grounds in the coffee pot, but nobody did that, and it made me coffee, and I drank it. It was weak, but I drank the coffee because it was a ghost that did it, so it was cool. But Cole, what you got? Your most unusual or funniest?
Okay, I don't have a funny one, honestly.
What about your...
Most unusual and scariest are really the same thing. So, I was 17. We were drinking out by the East Cooley mine, which is an old coal mine that closed in the late 70s. And all of a sudden, we heard a god-awful roar. It sounded halfway between a lion that you hear on TV, but it was way more guttural, and it was just insane. Like how loud it was, how it changed pitch throughout the roar.
Right.
And that area is well known for dinosaurs throughout the past, and so that's what we determined it was, because it came out of the mine shaft. So that's all I got.
Like this?
I don't
Well,
have shit for this.
Bigfoot.
No, you're fine.
Well, not in
Bigfoot
Drumhill.
can be in mine shaft.
Not there.
Not there?
No,
not
it's
there.
Why?
Not in that area.
It's a desert.
Might be surprised.
No, I don't think so, Nikki. Not there. There has never been a sighting ever.
There isn't even
I
like regular animals.
I prefer to think of T-Rex. I mean, dinosauric noise. Honestly, based on the area,
Plus,
the
the
area
shaft
that
that
you're.
this sound came out of, if he is, he's never getting out.
Poor guy. He's trapped down there.
It's a 2-mile deep
Portals.
shaft.
They open portals.
It's like Rick and Morty. There's futuristic dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's a fucking cartoon, John. A fucking cartoon.
Have you
Hey,
seen The
hey,
Simpsons?
hey.
A fucking cartoon.
Have you seen The Simpsons? They predict stuff all the time.
Okay,
Why can't-
prophetic cartoon, but still cartoon.
Yeah, The Simpsons predict everything.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon.
Rick and Morty doesn't.
Dude, if you've been
Okay.
on for 30 years and have like 14 episodes about the future, at least one of them's gonna be right.
Well,
I'm just saying. Okay?
Mostly all of their predictions.
We
so.
can look at like
No.
Star Trek and say, hey, look, the communicators. Now we have
Yeah.
cell phones. They predicted the future!
Well, that's because the people that created the phones were big Star Trek fans. So, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
thing.
Right? That's what I'm saying. So did they predict the future, or did the future go,
No, they just
hey, that's a
exist.
pretty good idea. Let's try it. Now that we have this technology.
Well, my communicator, look at me.
There is the technology. Let's make
So-
the man.
so
Beam me
what-
up, Scotty.
What do you got, Kayla?
Yeah, Mom. What is one of your funny stories about a ghost?
I have
and
no
a
funny
guitar.
stories about ghosts.
Okay,
She touched a
so
ghost
more.
inappropriately once.
Huh?
Me and
What?
ghosts don't get along. Like,
You and
at
ghosts
all.
don't get
Don't
along?
wanna hear
No,
that
fuck
story?
no.
I've heard
Me and ghosts
so many
do not
of those
get along.
stories.
They do not like me.
Your
I
mom
don't like
touches a
them.
lot of things
We're not
inappropriately.
buddies.
I don't want to.
I would have to say my
No.
first, what I would call paranormal experience, I was 7 years old. The first one that I remember. My grandmother had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And my little brother was 3 at the time. And we had lived in a house with my grandparents and my parents. Like, it was my grandfather had built this house back in the 1940s. And my grandparents were a lot older than most people's grandparents that were my age. Okay, they had my mom when she was in her 40s, when they were in their late 40s, and my mom had me when she was in her late 30s. So my grandparents were already in their 80s.
As balls.
Like, so one of them was born in like 1913, and the other one was born in 1918. So they actually came over on covered wagons. Anyways, so we lived in a multi-generational house at the time. So my grandparents had built it. We had also lived there with my 2 aunts, my mom, my dad, and all my brothers and sisters. My brother and my sisters. My little brother was about 3 at the time. And there's a rocking chair upstairs that my grandmother always sat in. It was her chair. Nobody else touched it. Nobody else went near it. It was always her chair. And my little brother used to go and sit on my grandmother's lap and rock with her and talk with her, and they would read books and tell stories and that kind of stuff. So we got home like the day after she had passed away, and my little brother turns and looks at me and he says, "Grandma." I said, what? And he went and he sat over in the chair and he started rocking back and forth talking to my grandma. There is no way at the age of 3 that he understood the difference between a living person and a dead person. You don't understand those concepts at that age. You just don't get it. But he knew for sure that my grandma was sitting over there and it was time to read stories.
Okay.
Then I had a cousin who I was extremely close with when I was a child. And she passed away after years of fighting a horrible disease. And me and her were extremely close. Like, I'd go over there in the summertime for most of the summer, and we would hang out and do all kinds of crafty stuff, all of that. And she passed away, and I woke up in the middle of the night that she passed away, and I was like freezing cold, and there was somebody sitting on the end of my bed.
Did you see an imprint?
I saw her.
Huh? Okay.
I saw her
Okay.
on the end of my bed.
Okay.
She came and she talked to me for a few minutes. But again, I was like 6, 7 years old. I wasn't... I didn't know what was happening or that anything was different. And when I finally figured out that, like, kind of like in my baby adolescent mind there,
Right.
that, hey, wait a minute, I thought you were dead type thing. I kind of had a little bit of a panic attack and I screamed. And it woke up my aunt, who was down the hall, and she came in, and when she turned on the lights, my cousin was gone. And I was just sitting there like freaking out because I was like, I don't know what's happening.
Right.
And they told me that I must have been, it must have been a dream because of everything that was going on. Like, it's okay. But no, I was wide awake. And I know I was. I don't sleep. And I really didn't used to sleep when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I used to get maybe 2-3 hours a day, and that was from the time that I was like baby status. Like, I never took naps. I don't sleep very often until the last couple of years, but still. So there was no way I was asleep, and that was just some kind of like dream. It definitely happened.
That's like after my grandpa died. It was about a week after he died. And that was, I was what, probably a 30-ish. Now, grandpa was always an asshole. He didn't like kids, and he was just an asshole anyway. And he actually came to me in a dream and apologized for how he treated me as his grandkid. Now, was that, a way my mind handled his death and my lack of empathy of him dying, or was it actually him as a spirit coming to me to apologize? It could go either way. I took it as him, as his spirit coming back to apologize. Nikki, go ahead and give us a story, because I know you've got 11 billion of them.
Oh, yeah. I've been since in the cradle. I mean, I've seen spirits. I had a cat. I was just talking about this afternoon on my using it as an example. I was in the cradle. Couldn't have been more than between 4 and 6 months old, and had this 9-toed Manx cat.
Manx.
And the cat would protect me. My grandmother couldn't come near me if the cat was in the cradle with me. And whenever my grandmother walked up to the cradle, the cat would go batshit crazy against her. And and I never understood why, because I always saw Grandma standing there, but I also saw this older woman who was quite a bit. My grandmother was very tall, very thin, very statuesque. Easily could have modeled. And this woman that was standing next to her was very short in comparison, taller than my mom. My mom was 5'2" at the time, but this woman was short and stocky and had an apron on her, and I never understood the apron, not on a hot sunny day. And mind you, this is 1968. We're outside. They took the cradle outside and me with it, and there's a woman standing there, and I never understood it, and I understand it now. It was my great grandmother. It was my grandmother's mother. So it's kind of like a treasured memory of mine, because there she was, but then there for a while I stopped seeing spirits, and then I'd start seeing them again. And the most memorable one is part of a screen memory that the ETs did with me, but they took it directly from my own memories. And it was a house that my mom and I lived in when I was about 7 years old. And this woman had, the original couple they were newlyweds, bought this house, and they had come back from their honeymoon, and she had died in this head-on car accident, no seatbelts back then. And she remained in the house. And my mom and my grandfather bought the house. Mom and I moved in, and you could hear her singing in the basement. And she would come in and sit on the edge of my bed and sing me to sleep. I mean, you talk about a haunting. I mean, it was a very loving, caring spirit. She had wanted children, and she could obviously never have them. And I became one of her children that I believe her spirit is still in that house. And of course, they changed and altered and remodeled the house, and it's now got multiple levels and all this. But every time I've gone by that house, walked down that street, or am at the playfield across the street from the house, I can feel her. She's still there. So you have something like that, and then of course then you've got the ETs where they took my own memories of this woman when I was falling asleep and her singing to me and helping me to go to sleep because she was worried about the ETs taking me, and they used those memories and created a screen memory of something regarding the ETs. Anyway, so there's that. Then I've got when all the family got together, there were spirits I could feel, but I couldn't. It was like it was too overwhelming to me, so I couldn't see them, but I could feel them, and I could smell them, which that I never understood that. Probably the I lived in a house where a guy and his wife had lived for 12 to 15 years. There was a rental house. They had 12 children in that house. I heard from the... Oh, yeah. I heard... our family heard about the parties they would have in that house. I mean, this was a little house for 12, raising all of their 12 children. It blew my mind. When he died, he stayed in the house. I was pregnant at the time when I entered that house, and I immediately felt him. And I said, "You don't bother me, I won't bother you." We made an agreement, and he just kind of followed us around periodically, and he liked us. There were a number of times he would try to protect us in numerous different ways. The funny one is actually from last
Nikki,
year.
Nikki,
Yes.
If you look at the Discord, I found the reason you could smell.
Oh dear God! Would you?
It's a ghost fart.
Shirt.
Yep.
Oh dear God!
Silent but deadly.
Literally, they're literally silent but deadly. Unless you're not. Yeah.
But last year, a friend's grandmother came to me and told me something very specific to give to her granddaughter, give a message to her granddaughter, and I have a barrier put up, and obviously I hadn't been paying attention to that barrier in a while, and the barrier is it's like a warning that says, "Don't F with Nikki when she's in the shower or when she's in the bathroom." And I literally I had just shut the water off. I was in the shower. I just shut the water off, threw open the shower curtain, and the next words I hear are from her voice, looking at me going, "My God, you got fat!" And I lost my shit. I started laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing because the last time she saw me was like long before my back injury. So I was like, "Well, yeah, you had 2 back injuries and this." And I looked at her and I said, "What the hell do you want?"
Right?
I was like, so I got
Go
the
back
message.
into the ether.
Yeah, no shit. I I was like, oh, you. I wanted to call her a bee, but I didn't. I worked it out. But at least I could laugh about it. You know, I mean, you got stuff like that, and then you've got things to where I was asked, and I think I have talked about this here before, but I was asked to take a look at a piece of property, psychically take a look at a piece of property. And I was just newly ET hybrid pregnant. And I could tell, but yet I always question it when I am. I mean, I always question that shit. And it was really, really early on, and I was like, all right, do I really want to do this? Do I want to look at this piece of property? I looked at this property, and there was a little boy there who was he was a ghost spirit who was basically being tortured by another adult spirit, or both of them earthbound. And I took a look at the house, didn't think too much of it, and I felt like I was 8-9 months pregnant. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? This is not normal. And I called Robert and I said, hey, we need to have a chat. And I need you to scan me because something's not right. I feel like I'm pregnant with twins. He goes, well, you are ET pregnant, but you've got an attachment of a boy. Yeah. And I went, that's what I was thinking, but it didn't quite, something just was off. And this boy was terrified. And that was how I found out that a spirit can wrap themselves around your soul cord. Mm-hmm. Learned that one the hard way. And got him taken care of. I mean, took a while, but I got him taken care of and crossed over and excuse me, got him to understand about different things, and he crossed over, and the ET hybrid pregnancy went fine, and it was another boy, so it was like having twin boys. But man, it was intense how he felt. So there have been times where I've had that, and I've had a crime victim come up to me and give me an image, and I almost said her name. Mm-hmm. And I can't do that because anyway. And she came up behind me and scared the holy living crap out of me because I'm bebopping along to the music on my headphones, right? And I'm in the process of walking into the kitchen and about to change out what I've got to drink in my glass. And she comes up behind me, and it's almost like she said boo. She didn't say boo. She said something, but she didn't say boo. Boo. And yeah, he screamed. She got the giggles. I haven't heard a spirit have the giggles in a very long time. It was really, really sweet. And that's when she and I started having a full-on hardcore conversation about a number of factors. And she stayed with me for a number of weeks until she got as much information to me as she possibly could about her case. Mm-hmm. Very sweet girl. So anyway, when she brought other crime victims to me, but they didn't stay. She stayed with me for quite a while, and then periodically she'll come and go. And then I got Capone coming back and forth, and that's always interesting because he likes to. He doesn't like women. And I got him figured out. He doesn't like women. He doesn't like it if they've got a voice. And he gets his jollies off of, if you're a psychic and you're a female, and you're a strong female, he likes to project exactly how he killed his victims. To horrify you. And it worked the first time because it shocked the living crap out of me. Second time, I was like, we don't play this game, little boy. No. Nikki knows how to deal with you. So, so he comes by periodically and gives me little messages, and then he stays away for a year. And so usually around once a year, he shows up. So yeah, there's a lot of things that spirits do. I don't even know where to go. I mean, there's so many more stories that.
Oh no! We don't need to hear them all. No.
There's one where a girlfriend, her grandfather and uncle or great uncle, uncle, used to like to come and sit in my reclining rocking chair, and
they like rocking chairs.
Yeah. Oh my God! What the hell is it with the rocking chairs?
Well, I had one.
Oh my God.
I had my first situation. I had first situation I had to deal with in 1990 was actually when I got into the paranormal, and our unit didn't go to Desert Storm at that point, but one of our companies did, and so one of my buddies went to Desert Storm, and I was supposed to watch over his girlfriend. And she came to me, she was sitting in front of my barracks. In fact, it was like close to midnight, and she was terrified. And she's like, you're the one everyone says to go to if they have paranormal issues. And I've got a paranormal issue. And I was like, and of course, at this point, I'm just studying and experiencing weird shit. But she got drunk one night and she was playing with the Ouija board and she was pregnant. And she told me this, and I'm like, oh, well, fuck, that's your first mistake. You don't play the Ouija boards when you're drunk. But after that, her garbage can would move across the kitchen on its own. The rocking chair in her bedroom would rock on its own. And, well, there was nothing at that point in time I could do to help her. And she, I told her, well, you're going to lose your baby. I can almost guarantee that. I'll see what I can find out to help you. But, yeah, she lost her baby. And immediately after she lost the baby, the hauntings stopped. And, well, we kind of know why. But that was my first, I guess, investigative side in 1990. And at that point, I couldn't do shit to help her. But Robert, did you want us to read your experience on the show? And if so, Cole, could you go ahead and read his experience?
Why me?
Yeah, he's got some Lapalulus.
Yeah, he does. In the meantime, so in 1991, I got transferred from Stuttgart to Bad Hersfeld, and in the process of driving there, we got in a car wreck. And the initial car wreck, the Germans sideswiped us. It wasn't a big deal. But we pull off to the side. Me being a medic, I ran across this S-Bahn, which is, so an S-Bahn is like a 2-lane highway going both sides. Okay. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning, there's no cars. So the Germans were, at this point in time, broadside across the highway. And I ran over, I checked them, is do okay, alles klar, talking to them. And I'm right next to the car. And all I remember is turning to step away, hearing crunching metal, and I'm laying in some woods. So my buddies were over by our car. They watched me fly 30 feet through the air like a rag doll. My tennis shoes were still on the Autobahn, or the S-Bahn rather. And they thought I was dead. Because I just got hit by 80-mile-an-hour impact. And by all rights, I probably should have been dead. But they said when I was flying through the air, they saw a flash of light come out of my pocket. And I can't move. I can't move my legs. And all I can think of, what the fuck? And I started yelling for help. And I started pulling myself up this embankment. And they freaked out because they're like, dude, you're alive. What the fuck? Cool. What do we do? These Germans need help. And they had apparently run to the other side of the car and got smashed between the two cars. And they told me they're bleeding from the nose, the ears, and I'm like, dude, there's not much you could do. Get the Krankenwagen here. And within 5 minutes there was an ambulance, Krankenwagen. So when I got to my next unit, I was in a full leg brace, crutches, whatnot, and they're like, dude, you got in a car wreck. We heard you're never going to walk again. And well, yeah, I'm fine. It tore my right leg, my right knee ligaments, and that's it. So again, did I have a guardian angel? Did I have a spirit watching over me? I already know the answer to all these questions that I can't disclose. But you talk about paranormal. All I had in my pocket that made a flash was a crystal. And that's what they saw. But yeah, one of those paranormal issues that just happens. Anyway, yeah. Go ahead and read Robert's story.
Okay, so one of the many stories I've been compiling. At age 9, I had an experience that still bugs me to this day. December 23rd, 1982, I was visiting with the best friend I had made at the time, who happened to live across from my grandparents' house. His name was Adrian Kirk. It was somewhere around 10 or 11 a.m. and the Kirk boys were going to the beach with their grandparents. I had just finished playing with Adrian and was told they had to be ready to go to their grandparents, so I was told to go back to my grandparents' place. I walked across the road and was about 3 feet from the gutter on the other side of the road and stopped like I had walked into a brick wall. Then I heard a voice in my mind saying, "Stop, go back, tell him not to go." I try to step forward and still can't go up onto the gutter. I once again hear the voice. "If you don't stop him, you will never see him again." I, being a 9-year-old, shrugged it off and walked back to the house. Skip forward a few hours, we had returned to our home and I was in the lounge room when my mom walks in and tells me that Adrian is dead. He had been hit by a car at the Causeway Lakes and died from the injuries. So that's his first story. His second was when we were in the far north, I was at the cemetery by the highway at Balbinda, walking back down about halfway from up the hill of the graveyard, carefully walking through the graves. I had been talking out loud, telling anyone in the area, no living people were seen whatsoever, that I would be coming back with an audio recorder to help get their stories out. To my right, I hear a plain as day, "Ha, yeah, right," in a late teenage girl's voice. I did return, but did not get any EVPs from there.
Australia.
The teenager was being angsty.
Uh-huh. Fucking teenagers.
They suck.
Hey.
Speaking of, like, kids and stuff, Kimberly, my youngest, she used to always go outside and talk about her fairy friends.
Mm-hmm.
And how she would seriously just sit there and, like, talk into trees.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd be like, "Who are you talking to?" And she was like, "Oh, it's just my fairy friends." And she used to do that all the time. Especially when we first moved out to the woods.
My favorite one was when we moved here and she picked up her protection stone.
Oh, yeah. A big-ass rock.
Yeah.
And she kept it under her mattress.
It was a boulder. And she could barely
don't go in
lift
her
it.
room and wake her
And
up.
she
Oh, hell no.
said, "No, this is my protection stone." And she put it underneath of her bed, and she would not let us take it out. She slept with it under there for like 4 years.
Yeah, if she was able to throw that thing, it would do some damage.
Uh-huh.
Don't care if you're living or dead.
Hell yeah. Does she still have it?
She does.
She's going to hit you in the head with her fucking protection stone.
Right?
Yeah, knock you the hell out. She don't need no frying pan. She got to protect his boulder.
My protection stone.
Oh.
I forgot about that.
in the barracks, I had a ghost named. Oh, I named him Fritz, and I think that was actually his name because that's the name that came into my head.
Figures.
And yeah, oh shit, yeah. And so I lived in this room in these barracks for about a year. Never had a problem in my bed before. A buddy of mine walks in, and I'm like, yeah, I've got this ghost. He comes in here once in a while. His name's Fritz. And this kid, he sits in my bed, so we're getting ready to go out. And he says, I don't believe in no fucking ghost. Well, my bed collapses. I'm like, dude, you just pissed him off. What the fuck? It's just you put the frame through slots and it stabilizes the bed. And he's standing there. He sits back down, and we're talking and where we're going to go and whatnot. And hey, Fritz is coming in, and he's like, dude, I don't believe in no fucking ghosts. My bed collapses again. This is a bed I could have fucking jumped up and down on and never had an issue with. But he's scared. He's like, dude, we gotta go. What the hell? Like, yeah. So like, Fritz and I we had a good laugh. My other roommate, we had four. There were four of us in this room. My other roommate, I talked to today. He's cool as shit. But he always slept with a knife under his pillow because he was terrified of me. Because, well, I was the one that would sit in my room and with a candle lit reading witch books. And he's like, I actually got threatened by our squad leader because, dude, you're scaring your roommates. I'm like, well, what? For what? He goes, you're reading witchcraft books. I'm like, I'm a fucking witch. Of course I'm going to read witchcraft books. You can't tell me what books I can and can't fucking read. So yeah, but yeah, him and I talk and we laugh about it today because he knows me. But I told him we had a ghost. He's like, yeah, you know what? This is like a year or two ago, and all this happened back in '91. But yeah, he's like, yeah, I know. You knew what his name was? I'm like, yeah, his name was Fritz. Like, we used to have some crazy ass parties in our barracks floors, the medics and mechanics. But yeah,
sorry,
medics. Yeah, we would get drunk and stick each other with IVs to rehydrate. Yep, we were literally known as the medics from hell. 11th Armored Cavalry, awesome times. But anyway,
right on.
Well, so our chief was an 18 Delta. He was a Special Forces medic in Vietnam, and he was the one who trained us. So we would literally stick IVs with night vision goggles on. We would suture orange peels together for training, just for shits and giggles. Good times. Great guys. John, what are you doing?
Alright. Sorry.
He's looking on eBay for scary alien masks to
Seriously?
wear at the
I
next
would
thing
never-
that scare his ants.
I'm going to stick you with a fucking IV with a goddamn night vision. I ain't done it in 20 years.
And I found other things. There's these cool little finger things that extend your fingers. And I found a cloak.
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
During reunion, I'm
Halloween
going to put
is
that
months
on.
away.
I'm going to hide in some bushes. It's going to be amazing.
You're
don't
gonna
have
get
a fucking
shot in the
Amazon account
face.
or an eBay account.
Good?
Oh, or does he?
Yeah, card.
Don't look at me.
Oh, let's not yell at the kid on the show.
You ain't buying shit.
Wow.
Wait till midnight. We're going to have a talk.
Yeah. What is already in my cart?
Oh my god.
So, anyone got a scary story? Because I'll share mine after everyone's done.
I already told you, I have one.
I know.
I Okay.
All right.
What's your scariest story? You got a scary story?
I got one
Yeah.
that terrified the hell out of me.
Okay, go ahead. Hold on, Nikki. Because I know you can fill a book.
Well, I don't know about scary stories, but there was one that terrified the living shit out of me. Yeah, go for it. I want to hear these.
So when
Did it go big?
I've never really been the healthiest of person.
Mm-hmm.
I continuously have these really, really fucked up, horrible health problems. Okay, and I have since I was younger. And they're all like 1 in a zillion possibility of this ever happening to anyone ever. And I've had so many of them, it's not even funny.
You mean physically healthy?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant mentally.
I'm pretty sure that there's some mental stuff up there, too.
That's the alien side.
But there was this one time when they say it's a reaction from different pills interacting wrong with each other. But I went to, just throw context, I went to college and I had a little tiny rash on my hand when I went in the morning. And I was like, hey, Cole, look, I got this little rash. And we kind of laughed about it. It looked like some stinging ivy or, something like that. I got home that day, and that rash had grown a little bit, but not very much. Just down to, maybe my wrist. And I really hadn't been feeling great, so I just went and I laid down and I went to bed. I woke up probably about, 4 hours later? And I was burning. I was, burning. Every part of me felt like it was on fire. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what in the literal shit? So I got up, and I went in the bathroom, and I just started, throwing water on myself. It felt like I was burning alive. Mm-hmm. And I, yelled for Cole, and Cole came in, and my entire body, every bit of my skin, everything, was bright red. And I was radiating 100 degrees of heat off of me. Yeah, exactly. Like the Elmo guy there.
No,
the lobster.
The lobster.
She wasn't dancing though.
So, my mom freaked out when she saw me, and she's like, "Get in the van," and took me to the hospital. Mm-hmm. Okay. By the time I got to the hospital, I had 2nd-degree burns. And my skin was starting to come off in different spots. And it took them a while, but it just so happened that I randomly had a lady there that had studied in college as her thesis something called Stephen Johnson's. And it is, like I said, this really, really ridiculously rare drug interaction that causes your body to cook like a microwave would cook it.
Oh, fuck.
So it cooks from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you do not catch it right away, it cooks your internal organs. So it makes them stop working. So by the time that this nurse lady had come in...
So it would be hyperthermia, not hypothermia.
Yeah. By the time this nurse lady had come in, I was already to the point where I was getting 2nd-degree and almost 3rd-degree burns on the outside of my body.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me a bunch of this different medicines, kept me in the hospital for a long time, all that jazz.
Yeah.
But what terrified me, and this is all weird paranormal terrified, is I knew I was in a ridiculous amount of pain. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I had no idea what the hell was happening or anything like that. But I had this insane feeling of intense fear, and not for the fact that I was on fire, that my arms hurt or anything like that, but it felt like there was somebody standing right behind me, over top of me. It felt like I had something, like, waiting to, like, grab me from behind.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, obviously this could have totally been, like, my
From
delusional mind. I was
medication
burning alive.
induced.
I mean, like, you know,
Yeah.
my core temperature was ridiculous. So, I mean, it could have been hallucinations and everything else. But I remember completely being in 100% fear of this thing that was behind me. And it wasn't like, it wasn't human feeling. It was like almost evil feeling. And every time that I, like, turned, I expected to see, like, in your peripherals, you know, like, something there, because it felt so much like there was something waiting to grab me that it fucking terrified me. And that, honestly, is probably the most scared that I have been of something that wasn't necessarily physically there.
Right.
I have a...
Just an FYI, there are things in hospitals.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
I've experienced, I'm not afraid of them, but I know that they can create an enormous amount of fear in patients.
Mm-hmm.
They feed on it. It's like they're a demon. I don't know what to call them.
It's a
I've
parasite.
never-
It's a form of parasite.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But to actually have their name or their species or whatever,
Right.
I've seen things that can do that. I've visually seen them in hospital rooms. I've been told by nurses, this is a room on this wing. We try really hard not to keep patients in this room. And if we do, if we have to, because there is no other bed to put them in but that room, then every one of the nurses, everyone on that wing, whether they're supposed to be down in that specific part of the wing or not, they know that they've got a patient in there, and they keep a really extremely closer eye on them than they normally would.
Right.
Because of just the kind of thing that you talked about. Whether what you experienced, exactly what you talked about, whether you experienced it was drug-related, combination thereof, or whether it was real or not, those things can happen in a hospital.
Well, you know...
And they can be very frightening.
So, when I was younger, like, this was actually just before the whole Steven Johnson thing, but I used to work in a Alzheimer's and dementia unit. And I did the overnight shifts. So while everybody was asleep, I would be the overnight person, and I would give people certain medications that they needed to take in the evening. And me and one other guy were on staff, and he was our maintenance guy. So he was just there in case
Light bulb burned
a
out.
light bulb
like
burned
that.
out, anything like that happened. He was just there for that. And he would help me clean up and that kind of stuff for the night, like vacuum the common areas, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, they had one of those pull systems, like you have in a hospital, where you have to pull the lever down in case somebody falls or something like that.
Yeah, the emergency. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'd also be in charge of going to the calls if somebody, pulled their system. And figuring out whether we could help them or needed to call 911 or had to get one of the senior nurses over. Okay? So, like I said, in this entire place, it was just me and this one guy. And that pull system went off. Well, it tells you where it goes off so you can locate it. Okay? So the pull system went off, and it went off upstairs in, like, one of the 200 rooms. So, 2 floors up in one of the rooms. So we were like, oh, that's weird. So we went up, went to the room, and there's nobody in this room. This room is unoccupied completely. Okay, so we went and we looked at the pull system. It had been pulled. So we were like, okay. So we reset it. We looked all over the floor to see if there was somebody that was out or somebody that was
Still messing around.
needed some help or anything like that. Couldn't find anybody. Everybody on that floor was in their beds. And we were like, huh. So we went back down, and the pull system goes off. This time, it's on the first floor in the dining area. The dining area is completely locked. There is no way to get into the dining area unless you have one of our keys.
Right.
So we go into the dining area because we're like, well, if somebody didn't lock it or if something, you know, you have to check no matter what.
You have to check, yeah.
So we went in there. The cord was pulled, but there was nobody there. Hey, this went on 7 times that night in different locations.
Somebody wanted
nobody
Mm-hmm.
was, and it was actually really kind of creepy because every time we went to a call,
Hospitals
the cord
are
was
creepy
pulled,
at
but
night
there was
anyway.
nobody.
Everyone's asleep.
Oh, I'd get pissed. I'd start yelling at him.
Kayla would push the other person in
would've
front
been
of her and say, "Take him." I know you.
Oh, I would, because you know how freaking scary it was riding those elevators when you're the only one there?
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's other people there, but they're all asleep.
Uh-huh.
So you're going up these little tiny elevators, and you're like, oh, dear God, please don't stop now. Like, it was not a job that I should have ever honestly done.
Somewhat scary story that I don't know if it's real or not, because it was when we were living in Mount Vernon before
Stanford Drive.
before we got Jalen.
Okay.
Because one night I woke up and saw a dude standing outside the window. Yeah, that's just something I remember.
Well,
That was me, dumbass.
What?
Probably.
Oh. Why are you standing outside my window like a creep?
Your window's at the front of the house.
Yeah. Why didn't you go in the back entrance?
we
Why would
smoke, fool.
Why you gotta be a creeper?
But I do remember
I'm not. It's my house. Why you gotta be a creeper and live there?
I do remember
Oh,
something weird with you.
What did I do?
We lived in this little apartment when John was really little. And it like had a washer and dryer that connected to the 4 other places that were in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like a weird little...
Shared laundry room.
Yeah, a shared laundry room in like a weird 4-plex.
Oh, was this the place that you guys
Yeah.
got raided in?
And
You want to calm down there, fucking Smokey? Okay? We didn't get raided. The neighbors got raided, and they thought the houses
pounded
were
through
all
the door,
one house.
and they
was
were
that
like,
the
"Hi,"
Yes.
and we're like, "Wow, okay." But no,
It was that house.
yes, it was that house. John was wandering around, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I saw Aunt Dondy in the hallway, and I was walking after her." And I'm like, "Dude, no, you didn't. Like, what are you talking about?" He goes off on this tangent about seeing my aunt in the hallway wandering around the house.
Sounded like you said Gumby.
He's kind of like Gumby.
I don't think that's what you said, but what the hell?
He plays with his putty all day long.
Wow.
With socks.
Oh, dear God.
Putty socks.
Whatever.
Okay, that's why you wash your own laundry. God damn teenagers.
I think we lost Rick over that one.
He can relate. Rick can relate with putty socks. Yep. Oh.
What's wrong, John?
Oh, the look on his face, that was good.
And if you can see John's face right now. Mm-hmm.
Oh. John, by the time you get to be in your 20s, you're not going to have to worry. You will have no
Other
issue
things.
with having embarrassment of anything else. You've survived your parents. You'll be
Yes,
good the rest of your
exactly.
life.
You won't have to worry about putty socks anymore either.
You'll have other people to play with your putty.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Hopefully.
not putty socks.
I don't.
Yep.
Yep, he's done.
Let's just go back to
Oh, the cat got your
scary
tongue now?
stories. What?
Cat got your tongue now.
I think-
Uh-huh.
Well, the one that was the scariest for me was partially in a dream, partially in a higher form of higher consciousness, and it dealt with a true demon who was deliberately trying to screw with me. Not a spirit, but a true demon. And I had true spirits who were trying to get me not to cross this boundary. And I literally, the second you cross this boundary, let me just state ahead of time, this really taught me a lesson about fear and what fear can do to us. Even a millisecond or a fraction of a millisecond of fear. It's one of the reasons why I really learned the hard way. Don't be in fear when dealing with anything paranormal. Spirits, ghosts, earthbound ghosts, none of it. Because fear can actually be your detriment. And this was this situation, and basically it was this true demon that I had experienced from a different lifetime, one of my past lifetimes, in real life, one of my past lifetimes. And he basically decided he was going to try and screw with me. And so in this half dream, half higher consciousness state, here I've got true spirits who are like, no, don't cross this threshold. And the second I did, it was like a difference between night and day. This side, so to speak, it's the only way I can do this via description, verbal description. This side was bright and vivid colors. When you cross that threshold, the other side was significantly muted. And I ended up recognizing a house. I went into the house, and of course, you've got spirits going, don't go in there. You know you're not supposed to go in there. And I poo-pooed him because I knew this was a dream state. But I didn't recognize what was really taking place until I was already in a dangerous, very, very dangerous situation for my soul. Go into the house and go up the stairs. This is a house I knew from my childhood. Go up the stairs I see this room that I knew from my childhood. And I pass by it. I don't do anything. So I'm walking down this hall. I passed by it and I went, you need to go back there. And I'm like, why do I need to go back there? You just do. And I'm like, okay. So I go back. I turn around. I go back to the room. I'm standing literally at the threshold of the door. Door's wide open, and I can see an old man, what appears to be an old man in an old brass bed. And very, very old man. He looked like he was 100. Just old as old. And I realized I can't walk through this threshold. And I literally force my energy through the threshold, and I walk through, and the threshold seals. It's an invisible seal, but it seals, and I knew I was locked in that room. And I went, well, you're here now. What the hell are you going to do? I walk around, and I walk up to the man. The man sits up in the bed, in this brass bed, and starts telling me stories. And I thought, well, this is odd, but not necessarily for an old man, but it's odd. I walk around to the other side of the bed, because the bed is in the middle of the room. Why? Not a frickin' clue. I didn't ask. Didn't care. Didn't want to know. And he tries to say something, or appears to try to say something, but in a whisper. So you have to lean in. I lean in. Big mistake. Grabs me by the throat. Has his true face as a demon, and is choking me. Now, in real life, I wear a CPAP mask. I have no breathing issues. I did not have a cold. I did not have issues with my lungs. With the CPAP was working just fine. There were no medical issues. I knew this. I knew that I was alive physically. I instantly recognized, you're in trouble, but you're fighting this. And the tighter his grip got, I didn't become in fear until he started stating very specific, and I'm going to call it demonic language, and I recognized that it was demonic. I can recognize true demonic language and true angelic language, which just blew my mind that I knew what he was speaking to me. And he was collapsing not just my lungs, but I woke up with marks on my neck. Okay? So I knew this was a real situation. I had a fraction of a millisecond of fear. And the second I had that, he grabbed a hold. And he literally was reaching for my soul and trying to access my soul. And I literally in my head said, no, you don't, MFer. You're not taking me. You're not taking my soul. And I stated a 3-word, lack of better terminology, angelic phrase. And it terrified him. He didn't expect me to ever say anything. I spoke it in my head. Somehow I managed to eke it out of my mouth, and he disappeared. I will never forget the look on this demon's face. And he showed his true demonic face and body to me. So do I know his name? Yes. Am I ever going to repeat it? Hell no. But it was the one moment that truly frightened me, and it taught me a hell of a lesson. So that was my scariest moment. Truly, most frightening moment.
I want to know everybody's name.
Why are you on this, Mom?
I know.
I like new people.
Looking for you, Joe.
No matter what species they are.
Yeah, this a-hole was going after souls. And I'm like, no.
No, Mom.
Just put him in a room full of gingers. He'll be upset the rest of his life.
Hey, my kid's a ginger. Yeah, you're right, though. So
Sorry.
You're
Yeah,
not
so
wrong.
that was a truly frightening experience. But when I woke up, went to the bathroom, and was about to wash my hands, I looked in the mirror and I had marks around my neck, and I was like, "You got to be freaking
that's
kidding
when you know
me."
it really happened.
Yeah, that's when you know it wasn't just a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you know you're partially in a lucid dream, but you also know that you're in your higher consciousness state, a form of your higher consciousness state. I mean, I've talked to God before. I've talked to Jesus. That was an interesting conversation. I've been taken in my higher consciousness state in dream form to a form of the other side. I don't know how else to describe it, but in a form of the other side, to say goodbye to a dearly loved friend that I didn't know had died. And he wanted to say goodbye to me in a very specific way. And I literally was led to the other side in a waiting room. And so when you have something so terrifying, you've got to think of the times that are really, really positive, so that you don't live in those scary moments.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was, but then you've got really good happy moments where you've got your friend's grandfather and her uncle sitting and they're shooting the breeze and cracking jokes, and you're hearing all the jokes and you're laughing your ass off, and you're like, who the hell am I going to tell?
Right.
Who's going to believe me? Because they're sitting here bullshitting with each other. So then you have moments like that you treasure. So it's just being around the paranormal, man, it's weird as shit sometimes.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. Rick, you got anything that terrifies the living shit out of you? Chupacabra, anything there in Texas?
First ex-wife, but she's in Florida, so I figure I'm fairly safe from her.
Okay,
so,
that counts. That definitely counts.
And ironically enough, there is another place that I visited that should have ghosts, and I'm sure it does. Right next door to the Alamo in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm,
There's
been there.
It's a historic, the hotel, the Minger. It goes back to, I think it started business just after Texas got up and got going. Teddy Roosevelt recruited some of the Rough Riders at the bar at this place. I stayed there with the first wife. Actually, I was there for like 3 nights. No ghost. Not a one. Now, again, what am I doing that ghosts don't want to talk to me, or at least come give me a, like, hello, what are you doing? Hi.
They don't work
Ghosts
that way
don't,
usually.
No, they don't. No, yeah, terrifying things, of course. There are a lot of things. If you go out camping in the woods anywhere, you're going to hear sounds, and I have been. There was a house. It was a friend of mine. It was a friend of mine. It was his aunt's place, and we did stay there overnight. And she said somebody had died in the house, and it did get really cold in the middle of the night. And this was in the winter, and the heater was on, and so it wasn't like Texas where they have we have the air conditioner running all the time. This wasn't one of those cases. I could have just caught a chill in the middle of the night. I was young, but I was trying to go through anything that had terrified me, and humans terrify me more than anything else. So,
and rightly so.
Because I figure if I run up against the supernatural, there's not much I can do about it. But human beings, they find new and improved ways to just do awful and terrible things to each other. So
that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of the crime victims I've seen. Jeez.
Yeah.
So in 2001, I lived in a little town called Dettelbach, Germany. And so we lived in an apartment over a Greek restaurant. And that so for storage they gave us we had access to the cellar, and the cellar it had chains with hooks hanging from the ceiling. The dirt, the floor was made, it was dirt, and you go down in the cellar, you hear children giggling. You can, it was just creepy overall. Now, the event that happened in the apartment led to us leaving. And I'm trying to even explain the beginnings because, you move into a place, you don't know the history. And it doesn't just jump out at you right in the beginning. It builds up most of the time. But the final outcome was you could open the door, you would smell nothing but rotten garbage coming down the hallway. Cold water is boiling. The final straw was when the knife flew across the kitchen and into the wall, just missing my head. I've talked about this on the show before years ago, where it's interesting where cultures are different, because you go tell Fort Lewis Housing, for example, that, hey, I've got to leave because, well, a knife magically, flew across the kitchen, they'll laugh at you and tell you to suck it up. You tell German housing that you've got a ghost, they take it serious. And they told us, don't go back. You got a place to stay right now, we will get you into housing, you just move to the front of the line. And within a week, we were moved into on-post housing. But, yeah, and talking to spirits, at that point in time, we did find out that, so the town of Dedelovac was well over 100 years old, and the spirit that was trapping other spirits in that apartment was a butcher when he was alive, and was known for killing kids, and that explained the hooks down in the basement.
Like meat.
But again, there's no way of proving this kind of stuff because, well, they're spirits.
He's one I would deal with. That's the kind of crap I deal with.
Well, that was
I don't put up with a spirit that does that.
No, that was long before we got into the field of dealing with this shit.
Yeah. No, I get it. True.
But yeah, that was my first physical experience of dealing with terror.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, you just fucking move.
Yeah.
Even if you cleared out that spirit, when you're dealing with a well over 200-year-old town, you don't know what else is there.
That's right.
So, most of my experiences, I think, back in Germany was where I had my first 2 UFO sightings. My wormhole walk, or time-lapse walk, whatever, and I won't tell that one. I've told that one on the show enough. Had another where I had a nightmare in the barracks, and actually 2 of us had the same experience the same night. We had come back, and I had a nightmare of a demon possessing my hand and latched onto my leg. Well, when I woke up, there was a mark on my leg, so something had grabbed my leg. At the same time, my buddy's sleeping up in the attic. So new soldiers that come in, if they don't have a room for you, there's like a loft in the attic that you stay in. And he had a nightmare that he was being hung. Well, his sheet had wrapped around his neck and was literally going up the wall by something.
Lovely.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of creepy shit that happens. Happen in Germany.
Well, I'd have to guess that. Well, Germany alone, given all the death and especially in the last 100 years, it should be 100 years. Yeah,
kind of kill off half their population.
Kind of, a little bit.
Yeah. So
had a lot of camps.
And it's not like before all that happened that they weren't. I mean,
well, you got the Germanic.
In general,
you got the Germanic clans. The pagan history of Europe in general.
Right.
And it's really cool coming from being a witch to where you actually see them still celebrating today. Where the farmers have midsummer bonfires and they actually jump the bonfire and whatnot. And they know what they're doing.
Yes.
They
know
do, yes.
exactly what they're doing. So we're actually coming up on, we got about 14 minutes left. So if you experience hauntings, oftentimes, again, the basics are you'll have the feeling of being watched. You'll hear knocks. I don't believe in 3 knocks means it's demonic. I don't believe in 3 scratches, it's demonic. Demons overall are very rare.
They are.
You'll find more of the parasitic ones than you will the ones that want to kill you. The ones that want to kill you, they don't just kill you. They're the ones that make you feel depressed, and they'll make you kill yourself. But again, they are very rare. They're not like your TV shows that everything's a demon. Yes. That drives me nuts.
Oh, you and me both.
But no, you'll hear, and you always look at the mundane first. You'll hear knocks in the wall. You'll hear creaks and groans, and that can always be your house settling.
Most of the time, it's just some old dude trapped.
Well, and you just clear them out.
Yeah.
Or apartment building settling.
Yep.
I know this one settles a lot. Drives me nuts.
But always pay attention to your pets. Your pets tell you what you need to know. What?
And some animals are more sensitive to it than others.
No, absolutely. Different breeds.
Is one of the signs climbing on the ceiling?
What?
Oh, that's just a look of stupidity.
No, I did have a chow that, to me, chows are very magical dogs to begin with. And we had one that would follow spirits around the house. And that was in Kitzingen, Germany, again. But we also had an apparition of a woman in a white dress that would be reading a book, and she'd walk down the hall.
Wait, when did you go to Germany?
Which time?
The first time.
So I was in Stuttgart in 1990 to 1991, and then I was transferred to Bad Hersfeld in 1991 and 92. And then I was in Illesheim, 1995 to 98, and then I was in Kitzingen, 2001 to 2003.
Damn.
So, 1st 16th Infantry in Stuttgart, 11th Armored Cavalry in Bad Hersfeld, 6th Aviation Cavalry in Illesheim, and 701st Main Support Battalion in Kitzingen.
So does that mean you had to learn to speak German, or no?
Du sprichst kein Deutsch?
So yes.
Ich spreche bisschen. I speak a little bit.
Speaks a little.
I used to be fluent. But if you don't use it, you
lose it.
So in the Army, they actually give you a whole week of basic German. And if you catch it, you catch it. If you don't, you don't. You don't have to know German to... You express interest in learning German to a German, oh my God, they get excited because they're used to asshole military that they're just there to do their time and they're going hell home. If you want to learn German, they're more than willing to teach you German because that expresses an interest in their culture, and hell yeah. So I actually lived with a German family for, oh God, about a year. I was single, and that's a funny story, but it's not paranormal, so I'm not going to tell it. But he spoke English, his girlfriend didn't. So if I wanted to talk to her, I had to. She actually taught me a lot of German. And so yeah, I'm still friends with him today. But yeah, I spoke fluent for a long time. But when you don't use it, like they say, you don't use it, you lose it. So I still know basic words and basic phrases and whatnot. And yeah,
That's pretty neat.
Germany's fun. I miss it. We used to go for runs with mop gear on. So that's your gas mask and your suit. And it's so cold in winter mornings. You're excited to run in mop gear because it keeps you warm.
I was just going to say, yeah.
But yeah, cobblestone. Everything is cobblestone.
Germany's fun is an opinion.
What?
Germany's fun is an opinion. I'm pretty sure the fucking Jews don't think so.
Yeah, I think they thought it was not
Okay,
fun.
going to travel there is great. What are you saying, Nikki?
I don't think the Jews think that.
Yeah.
No.
If you do, it's just not a great place.
In the countries you've been to, Eric, where is the one that you enjoy the most?
Oh, okay. Hands down, Germany. Yeah. France was interesting, too. So I've been to Germany, London, France, Switzerland, briefly.
What did you do in Switzerland?
No, traveling. Just
Oh.
we went to a museum in Basel. Basel, which was cool as hell. I still got pictures from that one. I love the museum in Germany. Now, if you ever want to go to the Law Museum in Rothenburg, that one's got like the stretching tables, the Iron Maiden, the dunking booth, not booth ain't the right word. The dunking chair where they put the witches in the dunking chair, and yeah, whatever. And that's where the year-round Christmas store is. Rothenburg's cool. It's got an actual wall around the entire village. But yeah, good times in Germany for me.
Yeah.
Next week, what are we talking about next week?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you want to talk about that.
No, that's what I'm asking you. What are we talking about next week?
Friend, but I know you're weak this week, so I think you should take a little bit of extra time for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you've got one hell of a weekend coming up.
Yeah.
So, how about this week we do... Rick, I want to do your idea, but I want to change it.
Okay.
Just a little.
Sounds good.
Okay, his idea of...
He's getting there.
I gotta go
He's
back
getting
to
there.
the thing.
It's supernatural artifacts.
Yes.
Warehouse
so
13.
You had put religious artifacts with supposed supernatural powers. I want to change that to historical artifacts with supernatural powers.
Oh, okay.
Warehouse 13.
That way we're not just cuffing ourselves to a religion.
True.
So, why don't we do that next week, and then the week after we do the UFO, UAP differences between the two coalitions.
I called dib on Norse mythology.
So,
The
yeah, so
and
in,
UFOs don't care about the Norse.
No, the next
anymore.
next week's historical.
To them, that's old news.
So yeah, I want to do an analysis of the government UFO, UAP programs and analyze what the Navy, or not Navy, what NASA came out with versus the congressional UAP hearings they did.
I didn't know NASA came out.
They did.
Oh.
They're out of the closet now.
Wow.
Yep.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Going back to your question too, though, Nikki. So Somalia sucked, and Iraq wasn't extremely wonderful either.
There was that other
Kuwait,
really horrible one too.
huh?
There was that other really horrible one too.
Which one?
USA.
Oh
USA.
yeah, I'm just kind of stuck. I'm just kind of stuck with that one. Now Kuwait the culture, because the Kuwait tour we did in '91. So basically, they signed the ceasefire in June of '91, and my regiment was there a week later. So they pulled everybody out of Kuwait, and they put us there. And so I'm 21. This is my first combat tour, and yeah. I remember a day where we had to wear our gas masks and have all our gear within reach because Saddam had said, "Oh, I'm gonna gas Kuwait." That wasn't pleasant. But overall, the Kuwaitis actually brought camels onto the base and let us play with them and whatnot, and they actually built a museum for us, which wasn't pleasant. Don't get me wrong, but they showed us what Saddam's army did to them. For torture. And yeah,
I had a friend who talked about that, and what he talked about, I sat and I listened, but I had to keep myself on mute because I just sat and cried because of what he described. And he goes, "You're awfully quiet. I haven't heard a word out of you." And I put it off mute, and I was like, said his name, and I said, "I'm sorry, dear. I love you. I care about you. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm sorry they went through that." And it's just really hard to hear.
I remember, but
he had some very specific.
Oh
words
yeah, no, absolutely. And I remember hearing one story where our coalition went across the desert, and of course everybody's waving white flags because they don't want to fucking be there anyway. But our troops came up on this guy with a white flag and goes, "Man, I was fucking waiting for you to get here." This kid was in college in the States, went home to see his family for the holidays, and Saddam came through. And he was stuck there. And they actually put landmines around tanks, embedded the tanks in the sand, and told them to fight. Well, they can't leave because their landmines are around their tanks. But yeah, I mean,
that's along the similar lines of what I heard, and then some.
A few things before.
Yep, go ahead.
So first, I want to say congratulations to my mom. Yesterday, she rang the bell at the cancer center.
Awesome.
So she is cancer free.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very proud of her.
Good for
Let's go, Grandma.
Number 2, I know a lot of us like our listeners and me and I think my wife and a few others started our paranormal journey by watching movies. So I want everyone to keep an eye on blockbuster.com.
Okay.
Because their website is now active again. Their Twitter is active again. And they are making major hits at Netflix and Hulu. So,
wow.
Yeah, they're going after them hard on Twitter. But the website, all it says is, "Please be kind while we rewind."
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
So hopefully, dig out your membership cards if you still have them. Fuck.
I've got one in storage.
I think mine's got a hole punch through it, though.
And don't forget our sponsor.
Yes. Please join us by visiting ReaperApparelCode.com and entering the coupon code S-4 Bunker when you check out.
Yep.
They've got some great hoodies, t-shirts, hats, stickers, everything you need. Anything to do with the Grim Reaper himself. So make sure you join them.
He's a good guy. We like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. He's a good.
Oh, he's a sweetheart.
Make sure you have no late fees on your Blockbuster card because that will be so high.
That's true.
It'll get them out of the debt, though.
Yeah,
I was
but you'll owe them thousands for like a Disney movie.
And when you see the price, just remember the Reaper's only there to bring you home.
That's right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on the S4 Bunker. Thank you, Nikki, Rick, and Rob joining us from the Discord. You guys all have a great night.
See you next week.
See you next week.
All right. Take care.
Data transfer complete. System malfunction. Please evacuate immediately. Program terminated.
Son of a biscuit eater.